The next big horror movie of 2025 is finally here in Weapons. Zach Cregger is back after giving us Barbarian, and if you've seen Barbarian, you know exactly what to expect in Weapons. It's crazy, it's scary, it's unpredictable, it's funny, all put into one nice movie. Now I know a lot of you are gonna be asking yourselves, is this the scariest movie of 2025? Is it better than Sinners? What can I expect when watching Weapons? Well, I'm gonna give you all my thoughts in this spoiler-free review. And if you end up liking the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Let's get started. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the story of Weapons, it's about a classroom full of kids who all go missing at 2:17 a.m. But the crazy part about it is that they all get up out of their beds, leave out their front door, and go straight into the darkness, and it's all caught on their family's doorbell cameras, the security cameras, and the whole town is pointing their finger at their teacher. It's a really easy and simple setup, but man, the places that this story goes and the things that they touch on are incredible, where you start off with this type of story and it can go in a million different ways, and I doubt you're gonna know right off the bat which way it's going. And the movie does have a lot of strengths, and I think the biggest strength of the entire thing is the story. That's all over the marketing, like I said before, and if you've seen the trailers, you know about that. But the thing is the story is at the center of all of this. Whether you wanna call this a horror movie or a thriller or whatever you wanna call it, all those things are great, but the story is where this movie shines. The story is everything, and the way that they tell the story is really unique, where it's not the traditional thing where you see the main character go from the beginning to the end and we just follow them the entire way. That's what I thought we were getting, but that's not what we're getting at all. Instead of that type of storytelling, we're getting the perspectives of all these different characters in the movie, where you start off with one and you think that's the main character, you meet all these other characters, and then it flips to one of them, and it just keeps going down the line where it gives the audience all the pieces to this crazy puzzle to give us the full picture of what's happening. So that type of storytelling mixed with the horror elements and the mystery that the movie's actually based around, there is nothing to keep the audience from just being fully engaged the entire time. Now, the movie's a little bit long for this kind of movie. It's a little over 2 hours, but you don't feel it. There is so much happening with the different characters and the mystery that's slowly unraveling and the different perspectives. The movie's nonstop, and it's so well done. Now, I wouldn't really call Weapons a horror movie. I would really more so call it like a jack of all trades type of thing. It borrows elements from a lot of different things. Horror, comedy, there's a lot of dark comedy in this, thriller, mystery, it's all put into one package. Now, whenever one of those genres is shown to you on the screen, it's there for a reason. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and it always serves the story. So we'll take horror, for example. There's gonna be gore in this movie, but it's not there all the time. It's not there just to be there. It serves a purpose. When there's a jump scare in this movie, and there are some good jump scares, I was actually pretty shocked by that. I was taken by surprise, let's just say that. When there is a jump scare in this, it's for a reason. It's to kind of foreshadow things. It's to kind of put in perspective and give us a little bit of clues as to what's going on. So nothing that's done in this movie across the board feels just to be there. Like there is a reason that Zach Cregger chose to do this and do it the certain way. So when I left the theater and I really reflected on what just happened and what I watched, that was a huge thing that stood out to me of nothing was there for fluff or just for shock factor. It was all there for a purpose. And kind of going back to the characters of this movie, they all served a purpose as well, and they were all so different. So the story about the kids going missing, you have the teacher who does her own thing and acts a certain way. If you were the person that everyone was pointing their fingers at in this small town, you would probably act in a similar way. So it was really believable of what Julia Garner was able to do with her character. And then you have Josh Brolin. He's the father of one of the kids that goes missing. You believe his determination to find his son. It's no character is the same in this movie, and they all serve a purpose to really make you believe that this is a town that was affected by something horrific, and everyone's gonna be acting a little bit different. You have the principal who plays a pretty big role. You even have a drug addict. And his character and his little story was pretty funny. But you have so many different things to really tie it all together. So really, if you break this movie down, it has so many different moving parts, not just the genres like I talked about of the different, not just horror, not just comedy, but you have all these different characters who act different because of their roles in this world. So there's so many different moving parts in this movie that also help with the pacing. Now, as far as the score in this movie, it didn't really do much to additionally, draw me into this world. The visuals did big time, but the weird thing is the sound did. Now, sound is a huge part of horror movies, so of course they were gonna really focus on the sound, but it's the lack of sound in this movie that really kind of gets under your skin and makes you really tense up. There's a scene in this movie with Julia Garner's character, and she's in the car, and I'm gonna leave it at that. You go see the movie, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about, but it is terrifying where you think this thing's gonna happen, and it doesn't happen, and the alternative of what actually happens, way worse than what you thought was gonna happen. And like I said before, I wouldn't really classify this movie as a straight up, full-fledged horror movie. It's a lot of different things. So the scare factor, how scary this movie was, it was up there. Like I just talked about with the sound, that was probably the scariest element of the movie. That plus the visuals. The visuals come out of nowhere and you're not really expecting to see what they show you. So you're really caught off guard. Whether it's the sound, whether it's the visuals, whether it's the story itself, there's a lot to get under your skin. So if you are more affected by jump scares, you're gonna have that. If you're more affected by the atmosphere and just kind of sitting there with what's going on or the lack of what's going on, that's gonna be in there for you as well. So really, if you're more affected by a certain type of, I'm gonna call it a scare tactic, this movie is gonna probably have a scene or two specifically for you. And there really isn't much to not like about this movie, so if I had to pick one certain thing that I didn't like about this movie is the character decisions. There's a lot kind of going through the movie that you're like, why are you doing that? And then towards the end, there's like 10 different reasons why you should not be doing the thing that they're doing, but they do it anyway, and it just kind of takes me out of it a little bit. Didn't ruin the movie by any stretch, but it did take me out of it a little bit because I'm like, no one would do that. Who would do that? And they do it. Now, the million-dollar question, is Weapons better than Sinners? It's a really difficult question to answer because of how these stories are told. They're both some of the best horror movies, or however you want to classify them, of 2025. They're just some of the best movies of 2025. How about that? There's gonna be elements of Sinners that's gonna really resonate with people more than Weapons. I can already see it. But there's gonna be a lot of different things that make Weapons so unique that's gonna resonate with people more than Sinners, right? There's not a right or wrong answer with this. You're probably gonna enjoy both of these movies because of how different, but also how well done they are. With what they set out to do, they both do it perfectly. Now, as far as what movie hit more for me, I am gonna say Weapons because of all the reasons that I talked about earlier, with the mystery that was involved, with it kind of going from this type of horror to a different type of horror, and the characters and the actual setup and the payoff felt pretty darn good. And taking it a step further than that, is this the craziest, scariest movie of 2025? I'm gonna say no. Like I said before, this is a jack of all trades type of movie where the horror is great and it is effective with the tension, with the jump scares, with the gore, all that is done great. But when you don't focus on a specific thing like a lot of other horror movies have this year, you can't be the best if you're great at everything else. Now, I really do believe that Zach Cregger made a name for himself in the last few years in horror with Barbarian, with Weapons. Like, you gotta put him up there with Mike Flanagan, Jordan Peele, James Wan, all these other directors that are just the masters of horror right now. He's up there. Until he messes up, in my eyes, dude's up there. And he's rebooting Resident Evil next. Like, one of my favorite video game franchises, and the movies were terrible, right? This is the dude that's gonna give us the next one. Absolute banger. I cannot wait to see that. I don't know how that movie is gonna mess up. So if you were to ask me, who is Weapons for? Who should go see Weapons? I would say everybody. Now, there is a catch to that, of course. If you don't do good with gore, if you don't do good with kids and kids going missing and things like that, this movie might trigger you a little bit. But because of all the different elements and how they don't just linger on one type of scare, one type of idea, it's a lot of fun for a lot of people, and how the story unfolds is a lot of fun. There is a lot of drawback with some of the character decisions, but I mean, that is microscopic in all of the great things that this movie does. I really enjoyed myself. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I cannot wait to watch it again and catch all the I'm sure there's a ton of this in this movie, of the little like Easter eggs, the clues to kind of be like, oh, I didn't catch that the first time. That makes sense of why we ended up where we ended up. But that's enough of that. Weapons was amazing. I hope you all go see it. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.